Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise tonight as Veterans Affairs spokesperson to offer my condolences of the Tasmanian Greens to the family and friends of Flight Lieutenant Roger Brian Winspear following his passing in late April at the distinguished age of 104. This House was to honour his service with a condolence motion, but it never made it to debate due to the Parliament being prorogued. However, I didn't want to let his contribution go unrecognised in this chamber. I wish to acknowledge his life and sacrifice as a young member of the Royal Australian Air Force in the Second World War, and as an advocate for the recognition of all veterans and the service they gave. Mr Winspear was born in Burnie in 1920. He signed up to the RAF at 19, reported as saying that he was sure the blue uniform of the Royal Australian Air Force would impress his possible girlfriends. With a now 20-year-old son, I can understand the attraction to the uniform, but the willingness to go to war at that age is almost unfathomable. But Australia was directly threatened, and like so many other brave men and women, Mr Winspear shouldered his responsibility and signed up for service, initially wanting to be a pilot. But with an oversubscription of pilots in training, he was reassigned as a gunner and undertook his training in Ballarat in Victoria and Evans Head in New South Wales before being posted to Darwin in late 1941. As the war in the Pacific raged and the Japanese Imperial forces advanced south en route to Australia, he was on site in Darwin in February 1942 when the war finally and famously reached our shores. The bombing of Darwin was the first time mainland Australia was attacked by a foreign power since the arrival of the British military in the late 1700s. 243 people died in that initial attack, and over the following 2 years, Darwin was attacked 64 times as the Japanese land and sea forces approached ever closer. Mr Winspear was there for much of it, and in that initial raid, he has spoken of his experience on the front line, so close to the action that he could see the faces of Japanese pilots as they dive-bombed the city, its airfields and port. He was one of 400 people injured in that initial attack. Lady Luck played a role in his survival, replaced off a flight that subsequently crashed, killing all on board. But undoubtedly, the nous, skill, solidarity and bravery of he and his comrades also played a significant role. Not all were so lucky, and as he served with the RAAF, he kept a list of the fallen comrades in his many units. Post-war, he used that list and the memory of his mates to fight for a memorial plaque on Darwin's cenotaph, ultimately achieved. Prior to his passing, Mr Winspear was the last Tasmanian who survived the Japanese raid on Darwin, and in 2020 he was awarded a medal recognising the 75th anniversary of victory in the Pacific Day. Subsequent to his service in war, Mr Winspear wrote and co-wrote 2 wartime books about his experience serving. One, titled My Backseat War, seeks to keep alive the memory of his comrades. Humble and tongue-in-cheek, the title says it all. Perhaps in a backseat of the aeroplane, he was very much on the front line of the war. In Darwin, in the air over New Guinea patrolling for submarines, and post-liberation undertaking supply drops to desperate prisoners of war. He also co-edited, together with Sue Johnson, a book remembering the contribution of Tasmanian pilots, navigators and aircrew, Tasmanians at War in the Air, captured the experiences of those serving in the RAAF in war. My own grandfather followed a similar path of service for the Air Force, a rear gunner in bombers over Northern Australia and New Guinea. His escape map of the region, printed on silk in case of a water crash landing, a treasured family possession. He never really spoke of the war, so I'll be searching in second-hand bookshops for a copy of Tasmanians at War in the Air to get a sense of his experiences. Brian Winspear's community support didn't end when the war did. Much later, in 1993, being recognised with a Member of the Order of Australia for his contribution to tourism and community. Post-war, Mr Winspear settled in Bicheno with his sister and became a well-known and much-loved business owner, tourism developer and community figure. He was a director of innkeepers and well-known for the management of Silver Sands Resort at Bicheno and for the renovation of the Lena Hotel in Hobart. Family has described his unconditional love for his wife, Shirley, as he cared for her in her final years. While Shirley predeceased him, Mr Winspear is survived by 6 children, a big family under them. Describing the keys to a successful life as good health, good partner, good friends and achieving targets, Mr Winspear leaves us with notes of wisdom, a written record of the experiences of servicemen and women, and a legacy of bravery and service that is equalled by very few. Baley, Brian Winspear, thank you, and lest we forget.
Yeah.